Pythagorean Theorem, Converse. How to use a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared to predict the type of triangle. What is it? A squared plus b squared is equal to c squared, meaning the sum of the squared of the two legs is equal to the square of the hypotenuse. Why? To find the correct angle to travel between two distances when on a boat. Interesting fact. Although jellyfish and crayfish have the word fish in their name, they aren't actually fish. Now, here are the examples that we're going to be discussing in today's video. So let's take a closer look at example 1. Let's read the steps. Step 1, add the square of the two smaller sides. Step 2, compare to the square of the longest side. Now let's read the question. Check whether the triangle is acute, right, or obtuse. We already have the Pythagorean theorem written down. A squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. Now let's take a look at the triangle that gave us three measurements: 8 centimeters, 12 centimeters, and 14 centimeters. Now, since 8 and 12 are the two smaller sides, those could be our legs. So we're going to substitute those in for A and B, and 14 could be our hypotenuse, so we're going to substitute that for C. And so now we have 12 squared plus 8 squared is equal to 14 squared. Can we flip-flop 12 and 8? Yes, we can. We will still get the same answer. Now, let's continue with the order of operations and square 14. So 14 squared is 144, 8 squared is 64, and 14 squared is 196. So now we have 144 plus 64 is equal to 196. So we're going to add the two numbers on the left side, 144 and 64, and that gives us 208. Now we have 208 does not equal 196. What does that mean? A squared plus b squared is greater than c squared. Now what does that mean? The triangle is an acute triangle. And why is this the case? Well, the green angle and the red angle are acute angles, and when we add them together, they form an angle that is greater than 90 degrees, which means the blue angle has to be less than 90 degrees, which means all three angles are acute, and that is why we have an acute triangle. Now let's take a look at the images on the right hand side, or the angles, and now we're going to move the blue angle over the sum of the red and the green angle slowly so we can see what is happening. And as we can see, when it finally overlaps the red and the green angle, we have just a little bit of the red angle showing. So that means that the sum of the two angles is greater than the blue angle, which means the longest side is not an hypotenuse, and we still have an acute triangle. Now let's take a look at example 2. Let's read the question. Check whether the triangle is acute, right, or obtuse. We already have the Pythagorean theorem written down. A squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. Now let's take a look at the image that they gave us. They gave us a triangle with three measurements: 9 centimeters, 12 centimeters, and 15 centimeters. Let's go ahead and substitute the two smaller sides for A and B, and the longest side for C. So now we have 12 squared plus 9 squared is equal to 15 squared. Let's follow order of operations and square these numbers. So we're going to square the 12. That gives us 144. Now we're going to do 9 squared, which is 81. And now we're going to do 15 squared, which is 225. And now we have 144 plus 81 is equal to 225. Let's add the two numbers on the left side of the screen. So we add 144 plus 81, which gives us 225. And on the right side, we also have 225. So now we have 225 is equal to 225. And what does that mean? That means a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. And what does that mean? The triangle is a right triangle. And why is that the case? Well, if we add the red angle and the green angle together, it forms a 90-degree angle, which means the blue angle has to be a 90-degree angle, which means we have a right triangle. Now let's take a look at the angles or the images on the right side of the screen. Now we're going to move the sum of the red and the green angle over the blue angle. So let's go ahead and move that slowly. So as we can see, we're slowly getting to the blue angle, and right now we're overlapping the blue angle. You can't see any of the blue angle, so that means the sum of the red and the green angle is equal to the blue angle. So the triangle is definitely a right triangle. Now let's take a look at example 3. Let's read the question. Check whether the triangle is acute, right, or obtuse. We already have the Pythagorean theorem written down. A squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. Let's take a look at the image that they gave us. They gave us a triangle with 3 measurements, 8 centimeters, 10 centimeters, and 14 centimeters. Let's go ahead and substitute the 2 smaller sides for A and B, and the longest side for C. And now we have 10 squared plus 8 squared is equal to 14 squared. Can we flip-flop A and B? Yes, we can. We will still get the same answer. And now let's go ahead and do the order of operations and square these numbers. 10 squared is 100, 8 squared is 64, and 14 squared is 196. And now we have 100 plus 64 is equal to 196. So let's go ahead and add the 2 numbers on the left side, and the result of that is 164. Now we have 164 does not equal 196. What does that mean? That means a squared plus b squared is less than c squared. What does that mean? That means the triangle is an obtuse triangle. And why is this the case? Well, the sum of the red angle and the green angle is less than 90 degrees. Which means the blue angle is greater than 90 degrees, which means it is an obtuse angle. Therefore, we have an obtuse triangle. Now let's take a look at the angles or the images on the right side of the screen. We've already added the red and the green angle together, and now we're going to move it so that it is over the blue angle. So let's go ahead and do that slowly. So as we slowly move it to the right, we can see that it does not completely overlap it. There is still a little bit of the blue angle that is visible, and that means the blue angle is an obtuse angle, and that means we have an obtuse triangle. Now it is your turn, so go ahead and pause the video so you can take your time to answer this question, and I will show you the answer in 3, 2, and 1. If you got it correct, well done. If not, there's always tomorrow.